Hello, everyone. Um, I hope you're all doing well. My name is Carolina Chavez. For all of you new to this broadcast, we talk about sustainable fashion news. What is sustainable fashion? I'm going to give a brief description. It's basically the side of the industry that takes care when producing, selling, or in any part of their supply chain, when they take care of environmental aspects or social aspects or animal welfare or things like that. It's basically doing fashion in a more ethical way. We're going to talk about today about the weakest link, which is the lowest, the last part or the first part, if you want to see it, of the supply chain. We've spoken about fast fashion. So I'm gonna give a brief background. Okay, um, fast fashion. Um, the concept of fast fashion is that companies want to have as fast as possible in their stores, retail stores, whatever comes out from the fashion shows, right? From when the designers create something, these retail stores want to bring them to the stores as fast as possible. So this concept of bringing to the stores as fast as possible is not new. This is how the chain started. This is how the business started way before, probably 100 years ago, but this was not fast as it is right now, right? So around the half of the last the last century, some stores started to emerge, like Topshop, Forever 21. So they started bringing this fast fashion concept into the retail system, but until globalization and technology really stepped up, this concept became huge, which means some stores have collections, new collections, 2 times per week. This is millions of items produced per week. So, what is the supply chain? What we see is, we go to the store, we buy our clothes. That's part of the supply. That's the supply, the area of the supply chain that we have in front of us. But the weakest link is the people that do, that work on the garment factories, producing all these clothes. So we spoke about that, for example, in the 1900s and a little bit before, the issue was here in the United States, and after that, the workers started to create unions and movements so they could gain more rights, because at that time they didn't even have restrooms. It was crazy. So after, as time goes by, these issues translated just geographically into another country. So another places, not country, because it's not only one country. So right now, all this supply chain of all this, most of the garment workers are located in Asia. There's countries, for example, like Bangladesh, which almost 70% of their income as a country is related to the textile industry. And since a few years back, a lot of movement has been going on and a lot of attention has been put into these countries, because the conditions that they work on are really, really poor. They're not sanitized. There's a lot of child labor. There's a lot of the wages are ridiculous. They call them living wages, but they're not. They don't. They're not enough to live. Most of these people are brought from inside other, little towns into the main cities where the factories are located, and to live in cramped spaces, sharing spaces with men and women. Some of these women have their children over there. So all of this has been happening since a while now, but right now with this crisis, everything, all of the issues, all of the problems that the sustainable fashion industry has been trying to fix are magnified. It's like we're looking at them with a magnifying glass. Everything is in front of us. All of the issues that are going on in this industry are just in front of us. So just to give you a little bit of an understanding, what's happening right now with the fashion industry is that most of these companies that they use these workers for their production are canceling their contracts, are canceling their their production. So this represents already, for example, in Bangladesh, around $40.5 billion in orders canceled. We're talking about places where, for example, H&M, Zara, Nike, Levi's, they all buy from these workers, right? All these factories. And because they don't own the factories, they subcontract, right? So they look for the cheapest way of doing all these garments and for the cheapest labor. So they don't pay in advance. When they make a commitment to buy a ton of garments, they don't pay in advance, or they don't pay when they get the clothes. They pay after, probably months after they get the clothes already made. So what's happening right now with all this canceling of orders is that they're leaving all of these workers in the other side of the world without a job, without pay. All of these factories are being faced with a lot of inventory, and they don't know what to do with it because nobody is receiving it on this side. You know, these companies are not receiving it anymore because they don't have a place where to sell because everything is closed, right? Let's remember that China and the United States are the ones that the biggest consumers. And right now the United States is practically shut down. So the stores are closed. For example, H&M closed already in around the world, around 5,000 stores. This is, I think, a third or two-thirds of all of their stores. So they don't have anywhere to sell. And they are leaving these people without any reassurance around. As I said, a lot of people are being left without a job right now. And the problem over there is that it's not only a financial situation, right? This is not only, I'm not gonna have a month of pay. No, they're being laid off without pay. Some companies are paying a month of salary, but some of them are not. So they let them go. These workers go to these cramped places like dorms where they live in very precarious conditions because they're bringing from other parts of the country. So they live there with no money, with no food, with not even close to sanitary conditions. So this is not only a financial crisis for them, this is a humanitarian crisis, this is a health crisis for them, because there's this social distancing that we're talking about here in this side of the world, it doesn't even exist over there. They don't there's just not an option for that. So, for example, in India, people are trying to leave these cramped places to go to their homes, which are outside of these cities, and police are trying to enforce the stay at home with tear gas, and they're being really aggressive because people are trying to flee. People are trying to go be with their families, but they're not allowed. So this has become a really, really big crisis for them. Some of the issues that are happening also is that these companies, some of them, they have support from the government, right? Some it just came out a bailout from the government to support companies, but many of the people in this supply chain don't form formal part of this supply chain, right? Artisans, photographers, stylists, makeup artists. I mean, there's as I said, there's everything is magnified right now, and the system that was wrong before, it's even more wrong now because of the crisis. Every little, well, it's not a little problem, but every little crisis that has been trying to be fixed since a while ago, right now is just made huge because all of the faults are coming to light. So the Dr. Rubana Haq, the president of the Bangladesh Clothing Manufacturers and Exporters, is asking these companies to do the right thing, to behave in an ethical manner, because they made these commitments with all these factories in Bangladesh. So there's an article that came out a few days ago that said that H&M came to the rescue. They're not rescuing anybody. They're doing what's right. They're doing what they should be doing. And after that, and after some pressure from the industry and some pressure from some organizations that belong to the sustainable fashion movement, fashion revolution, after a lot of pressure, some of these companies have made commitments to pay for some of these orders that were already made. One of the issues, for example, is that these companies are asking these factories on the other side of the world to make robes, right, for medical purposes, to make masks. And Dr. Rubana says that this is not to help these people, these garment workers, this is to save their companies. So we need to be very aware of this, because, and why this is not helping the people in Bangladesh, for example, because these factories, because they're not paid up front for when they're asked for certain products, many of these factories take care of the cost, right? They pay from their own money to start building these garments, and then they get paid back from the big companies months after. So they have in their own supply chain, these factories, they have everything planned to do blouses, for example, to do jeans, to do whatever they do. So when these big companies ask them to do robes, they change everything for them. You know, they disrupt the system that they have. They are asking them to buy again so the companies can survive. This is not something companies are doing to help them, but companies to survive. So in some of these places, this has been a catastrophe. This is not only a financial situation. This is a catastrophe of proportions that we cannot see. So what's the opportunity here? First of all, I think that the way to do things right now, in any scale, because I know a lot of us are fighting many fronts, and we don't even probably realize the many other fronts that are fighting this fight, and crazy enough. We're all of us affected. It's incredible the magnitude of this. We're all affected. So these companies, they should do the right thing. They should act in an ethical way, because at the end of the day, it's gonna be a gain for them. It's not only right now to help a little bit. Oh, I'm gonna be a hero. I'm gonna help. No, is they're not taken into consideration as employees, right? They're subcontracted because they're not employees. You think of an employee like the person that works on your space, on your office, on your store, no? And because they subcontract these services, and they're in other side, they're not taken into consideration as employees. So when a company asks for a bailout from the government, these are the people that the last they think about, no? When they're trying to make things better for everybody. So I think that one of the gains that companies can take advantage of is to act with ethics, because we're all gonna get out of this. This is gonna pass. We're gonna get through it. But if we don't act right now at whatever level we are in, if we don't act with ethics and with solidarity to the weakest, we're not gonna, businesses are not gonna survive. And I understand, for example, I don't remember if I said it already, H&M closed already 5,000 stores. This means a lot of people are laid off already here or around the world. But so they're trying them are suffering already, but not even close to the circumstances that all of these people are living. In the informal side of this business, there's also indigenous people, communities that do a lot of work. It's informal because they don't belong to a system that gives them a formal pay every week. They don't have health insurance. So all of this is not only happening on the other side of the world, it's happening everywhere. I'm talking about the weakest link of the supply chain in the fashion industry. It's not only happening over there, it's happening everywhere. But right now the biggest crisis is happening over there, because places like Bangladesh, 70% of the people work in the garment industry. The most of the income that comes into the country is thanks to this company. So one other aspect that can be taken into consideration is to bring closer to home the supply chain, right? The production of garments, because environmentally it's a huge strain, but also because of these things are happening, are out of control right now, are out of their hands at some level from the companies. They're so far that it's so complicated to take care of it, to manage the welfare. We're not seeing this. So I think that I wrote when I posted about this program in specific, that evolution is knocking on our door. What do I mean by that? We're all faced with time to think, time to restructure in whatever level we are in, whatever business we have in our hands. So it's time to make things in a different way. It's time to restructure, to think that we cannot be selfish anymore. We cannot just act in a way that it's just gonna benefit us. And I'm hoping that we cannot, well, we shouldn't go back to where we were, because where we were, it was a huge problem already. Right now it's all magnified because of this crisis, but we shouldn't go back to that place. We have to change and take into consideration all these factors that are so wrong in the entire system, and us as consumers. This is why this is so important, because we are the ones that make these companies powerful. We are the ones that buy all these products, and we need to know that the cheapest we buy, the more we contribute to all this pain, because they're living in pain. Imagine these companies look for these places because in general it's cheaper to work with them, and the labor, it's even cheaper, right? So for example, if you buy clothes that are that have sequins and things like that, just so you know, and they have a label made in China, made in Bangladesh, in India, all this work is done by children. So the purpose of this, what I'm doing, is that we know that these things are happening, and we make better informed decisions when we buy. All of us are affected by this crisis, but it's not fair that we act even more selfish. It's not fair that we just think of us. It's not fair that we leave the weakest link just in crisis. So I hope everybody's doing well. Take care of yourselves. Stay home if you can. If not, support in any way. We can support these people through our knowledge, through asking companies for transparency, so we make even better choices when we buy. Okay, so take care, and I will see you soon next Wednesday at 12. Take care, okay?